Try to give the historical perspective as to when and why the law was
the substance is known
as well as
most addictive is nicotine.
we should recall in Nigeria during the
drug addiction, drug abuse,
And the animals
indiscriminate drugs.
sometimes even the first
yes, there is a link between malaria and sickle cell disease.
And the spread of cholera.
Just hospital. Let me even start this to make it more clear. Just
If you want to be theoretical, it applies to even men.
well,
In practice,
prevalence like that
the substance is known
as well as
Successful entrepreneurs have the ability to lead a business in a positive direction by proper planning to adapt to changing environment and understand their strength and weakness. Our guest is an experienced tax practitioner. He has great influence in the lives of people. He has contributed effectively on the management of public finance in the state and beyond. To what extent can his strength sustain in the competitive market today? Haruna Yahaya, Chartered Accountant and Tax Practitioner, Managing Partner, CEO of Haruna Yahaya & Co. You're welcome.
thank you.
Okay, sir. Your experience as a chartered accountant has brought positive impact in the revenue generation in Niger State. How did you achieve this?
Revenue generation is very critical to any government. And in Niger State, we have potentialities to increase our revenue base from what we are achieving now to a greater height. That can be achieved provided we are able to understand the basics of revenue generation. And that has to do with assessment, collection, and accounting for what has been collected. Assessment means we have the taxpayers database that will be able to enumerate them and give them assessment at the beginning of every year. And then they pay, we collect, and to do that collection, we have to ensure that we block all the leakages. So by the time we're able to block the leakages and we account for all the money received to the government account, that will exponentially increase the revenue base of the state. And that's what we've been doing since the beginning of our engagement to date.
And doing it as in to achieve a positive change in revenue generation is not actually very easy. So how were you able to make this come to reality?
Yeah, tax payment is a civic responsibility of every eligible taxpayers in the state. We have different types of taxes that are due to state government, and we have some that are due to federal government, while some are legislated to be collected by the local government. So our own jurisdiction is to ensure that all what is due to state government is collected from the taxpayers willingly, because we have different ways of enforcing tax laws. What we always prefer is whereby a taxpayer will willingly come and pay his tax. I know that is difficult in the states, especially when the awareness is very low. So what we do to ensure that we increase the revenue base of the state is to create awareness to the taxpayers and also ensure that the government judiciously use the taxpayers' money.
As a tax practitioner, what is the strengthened approach to effective public finance management perform?
If you talk about public finance management, you have two basic pillars to deal with: the revenue and the expenditure. So our concern or our mandate covers only the revenue generation, because you cannot spend what you don't have. So by the budgetary provision, the government will be able to specify what they want to do for the year, how they want to spend the money, and we will be involved in the generation. As you are aware, states have different sources of revenue. The major one is the allocation from federation account. then the internally generated revenue. But every state now look inward to increase their revenue, internally generated revenue base because of dwindling oil price and also reduction in the allocation from federal government. So every state is looking inward, Niger State inclusive, to increase the revenue base. Basically, it's just that we are blessed in this country to have this oil. If not, there are so many countries that their developmental project is dependent on the IGR, internally generated revenue, that they finance the developmental project.
What would you say is the strength of Niger State in revenue generation presently?
Yeah, just like any other states, tax payment is a function of business development in the state. The more you have entrepreneurs, businesses going on, they will be able to employ staff, and from that employment, they pay salary and they will deduct pay. So, and also they will be able to pay business premises, direct assessment, and so on like that. So, in as much as the government is able to expand or provide basic facilities for business to thrive in the state, then the revenue generation will surely increase. Presently, we have the major part of it is from payee from the state civil servant, and also payee from either federal government staff resident in Niger State or other private organizations that are resident in Niger State, like banks and so on like that. But we have the great potentiality of the state is from the small businesses that will increase the revenue base of the state. So the more we have business opportunities that people are gainfully employed, then the revenue of the state will also increase.
Okay. Tell us about the success of Haruna, Yahaya and Co. And what is your greatest achievement so far? In
terms of revenue generation?
As a company?
As a company, we have our own core value, core mission. Our vision is to be among the top 10 accounting firms in Nigeria. So we are expanding our horizon. Niger State is one of our customers or one of our clients, and we have other states that we do revenue collection for, especially outside the states. We also do audits to multinational organizations like international organizations, international donor agencies like EU, UNDP, World Bank projects, and so on like that. So the success story of the firm is that yes, the firm started from idea of one person, which is myself, and we were able to actualize that idea by creating the institution, because I call it institution, with as it is now, with me or no, without me, the company will run itself because we have succession plan. We have a structure in place. We have organizational structure. We have board of partners. I am the managing partner. We have managers. We have officers. We have team leaders, and so on like that. Everybody is doing his job, and we have targets. That everybody is a marketer. You bring business. You also participate in execution. So all the staff are engaged throughout the year, and we pay our salary promptly. We have fixed pay and variable pay. Fixed pay is your basic, your salary, but if you bring any business, you earn a commission on it. So the success story about it is that yes, from a humble beginning, from one person's idea, we have an institution whereby people are gainfully employed and they are really working and they are catering for their family and their parents. That gives me a joy.
When it comes to effective public finance management, there are challenges. How can it be rectified?
Well, thank God you say effective. In management, we have two keywords, efficiency and effectiveness, but we choose to use effectiveness, so we'll talk about that. Challenges in public financing are so numerous, but the major one is how to balance the revenue versus expenditure, and that's why we always hear about deficit budget, where government spending or projects that they want to spend money on is the total sum required is greater than the revenue that the state will generate. So we have to go back again and prioritize which one should come, which one can be deferred, and so on like that. So also we have challenges of meeting up the revenue targets, because like I say, revenue is a function of business. If business are not growing, then the revenue will also be affected, strike and so on like that. So the challenges of government in effective management of public finance is to ensure that you cut your costs according to your size. You don't spend what you don't have. You can resort to borrowing, but it's still postponing the evil debt, because that debt must be paid one day or the other. So now, to ensure that you have effective public finance management is to do what we call balanced budget. Don't spend more than what you have, or what you are capable of generating is what you spend. You prioritize your projects. In Niger State, major part of our revenue goes to overhead and salaries, with little to be spent on developmental projects. But as a state government, you have to balance the two competing demands of your revenue base. And to ensure that one is to do project development that will cut across all over the state, so that people will feel the impact of the state. Our concern, our mandate is on the revenue generation. We don't have control over the expenditure, and that is a different ballgame, but we try to ensure that we meet the revenue targets.
Okay, apart from the taxpayers' money, what other means have been created by the government to generate revenue for Niger State?
Tax, like I told you, we have allocation from the federation account. You have IGR, you can borrow. But my mandate covers only IGR. So the government has so many other sources of revenue. There are some also international donors that look at the state and intervene in the developmental project of the state according to the need. Like the last one of the EU audits that we do, they call it MPP6. It's an intervention project to develop projects in Niger Delta. There's another one we did that has to do with water, Barudu, Adamawa, Yobe, and so on like that. So government can assess all these international donors to finance the projects in the state. UNDP is also involved in Niger State development projects and so on like that. So government has so many sources of revenue to ensure that you meet the revenue target to accomplish the expenditure proposed. And everything has to be according to the budget approved by the State Assembly.
For you to achieve effective management of funds, you need to prepare your budget. As a tax practitioner rendering services in Niger State, what do you do to evaluate your expenditure and an impact assessment to show value for money generated?
Yeah, the budget preparation is a process, starting from the user department or MDA, ministry, department, and agencies. All will be given what we call budget thrusts. What is the focus of the state of the government in a particular year? Then they will prepare their budget based on that, what they need and how they want to achieve that. Then each ministry will be given opportunity to defend its budget proposal. Then it will be packaged by the ministry in charge of that, Ministry of Planning and Economic Planning. Then they will now submit to the State Assembly, who will now pass it to be a bill after all consideration. Now, the moment it is being ascended to by the governor, it becomes a law. Everything that the state will do will be within the framework of that approved budget. Now, to ensure that all what is stated there is achieved is a function of availability of fund. If you have sufficient, the revenue target is met, then you'll be able to meet your expenditure target. Now, to do the assessment, the impact assessment, the State Assembly have what they call oversight function to follow up on what has been approved and see that if it is road to be constructed from village A to village B, they will be able to see that, yes, it meets the quality and standard of what was approved. So they'll be able to see it and make informed decision. Then the government will give periodic report on what has been achieved, so either quarterly or half yearly. That will make people to see that, yes, the tax they are paying is being judiciously used by the government and they have value for their money. That will elicit voluntary compliance with the tax law.
Okay, how frequent do you organize training or capacity program for your staff? And what is the improvement in the services you render?
Capacity, we have different types of training. We have on-the-job training and we have what we call formal training. Formal in the sense that we gather them, we have a hall here where we do training monthly for the staff. They will come from different locations because we have staff in all the revenue offices in the state, all the local government, the zonal and area offices of state revenue. We have our staff that are resident there to ensure that they monitor and ensure proper accountability of what has been collected. They come for training regularly, and that has significantly improved their knowledge about tax law, because taxation is about law and figure. You must know the tax law to ensure that what you are asking people to pay, is it according to the law? And also you should be able to make computation, making assessment. If somebody fills the form, you should be able to come up with a reasonably accurate assessment that you should pay. So the training focus on this, but the most difficult part of it is to understand the tax law itself, because it's so wide that you have to be an all-rounder in it.
Looking at the fall in Naira notes compared to $1, is there any hope for an improved economy for Niger State?
Nigeria is a mono economy. Our revenue is generated from oil, and any effects on price of oil affects our revenue in the country, and that trickled down to the state. Now, the oil price is falling, the exchange rates, the Naira is also falling, so it's a double blow for a different angle. So to that extent, the sharing or what the state will get from the federation account is falling. So what is left for the state now is to look inward and increase, provide an enabling environment with political will to ensure that the IGR is enhanced. And we are working seriously to ensure that the revenue of the state is enhanced. So to specifically answer your question, the falling exchange rate really affect the state because it affects what the state is getting from the federation account. That is one aspect. The second aspect is also affect the businesses in the state, because the importers will be affected with the money they will require to import their goods. And if they are not selling, the staff will also be affected, and the salary can be affected to the extent that even payee will also be affected. So it has what we call multiplier effect. If you touch it one side, it has so many effects on so many areas of economy in the state. So what is important for the state is to ensure that the little that is left is judiciously utilized for the benefit of all.
Most people feel reluctant to pay tax. Sometimes they ask themselves, how is this tax being used? So what do we stand to benefit when tax is collected?
Well, tax payment is a civic responsibility. And if you understand what we mean by that, it's your constitutional obligation. It's specified in the Constitution of our Republic that you should pay tax. So paying tax is a civic responsibility that to maintain the government, because government is providing security, job, project development, and so on like that. All these require money. And the state government, as under the leadership of Talba, the chief servant, has tried or is trying to ensure that taxpayers' money is being judiciously used. We've seen projects in so many local governments that have been executed effectively by the state government. So all this costs money. And also, Niger State is relatively peaceful. It costs a lot of money to maintain that peace, to provide security. It costs a lot of money. So the government is using the taxpayers' money and whatever we get from the Federation account to ensure that the state is developed. So the government is judiciously using the taxpayers' money. We can see it, we can feel it, and we can point at it.
What are those skills you need to be a successful entrepreneur?
The skill you require is self-actualization. You know yourself better than anybody. You know what you can do and what you cannot do. For instance, I cannot effectively conduct interview as you are doing because you have the passion for it. So also you cannot effectively run accounting firm because you don't have the skill required. So basically what is required is that you must be able to identify what you can do. You can list out 1001 businesses that you can think about, but not all you'll be able to do as a person. So you should be able to identify which one you have the capacity to do. Then you learn the rudiments of doing that business that you've chosen for yourself. After learning, you can now think of maybe capital to deploy, because after understanding it, you now know what you require to do it. Over and above all, you must have passion for it, love for whatever you think you can do, and you build your self-confidence and go ahead to do it. The moment you are able to gather, you identify it, you acquire the basic knowledge to do it, then you have passion to do it, then you have confidence to do it, then the rate of success or the percentage of success will be high. Rather than somebody who doesn't even know what to do. For instance, some people who just retire, they've been given their gratuity, they say, okay, I'll start business. You ask him which business, he say, I don't know yet. Then that is a failure from the beginning. Before you get the money, you should be able to understand and be able to identify what you as a person can do. It's not everything you can do, but the one you can comfortably do, conveniently do, is what you'll be able to do. Then you learn it.
To love it.
Yes.
You love it deeply.
Yeah, yes. You have passion for it because it requires your time. You should be able to give it your time. If it is require you traveling, you should be able to make yourself available to travel. Or if it requires your full supervision, you must be there. For instance, people open maybe pure water business and they don't have managerial skill, they are not there. You just open business for some people to feed on, but not for yourself.
Thank you very much for having this discussion with us. Sincerely, I've been motivated.
Thank you.
One of the most important qualities associated with successful entrepreneurship is passion. When people feel committed to what they are doing, when they care deeply about it, they stand the best chance of being successful at it. If your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then you can achieve it. I am Imelda Isin.